The man who taught Hollywood how to stare down an adversary without blinking finally looks into the mirror. For decades, Clint Eastwood has been the silent sentinel of American cinema. The squint. The .44 Magnum. The low, gravelly whisper that could make the devil confess just to speed things up. We have mythologized him as the ultimate tough guy, the director who finishes shoots before lunch, and the icon who lives by a simple, brutal code: plant your feet and tell the truth. But what happens when the truth is ugly? In a blistering, no-holds-barred confession that has rocked the film industry, the 96-year-old legend has finally broken his iconic silence. In a leaked series of private letters and explosive courtroom transcripts, Eastwood has named the names of the 5 actors he despises most in the world. This isn't Hollywood gossip. This is a High Plains drifter settling scores from the grave of the studio system. From the Duke of Westerns to the Titanic of method actors, Eastwood pulls no punches. He reveals the screaming matches, the intimidating power plays, the band collaborations, and the shocking moment he told one of the biggest directors in the world to shut his face. Grab your hat and hold on to your whiskey. This is the revenge of the Rawhide Kid. To understand the hatred, you must first understand the man. Before he was the mayor of Carmel, before $1 Million Baby, and before he talked to an empty chair at the RNC, Clint Eastwood was just a working actor trying to survive. He came from the old school of directors Don Siegel, Sergio Leone, where time was money and money was everything. In the world of modern cinema, actors demand motivation and backstory. In Eastwood's world, they demanded obedience. The objective is to make everything sound like the first time it's said, he once told Film Comment. Consequently, he refuses to shoot more than 1 or 2 takes. If you can't get it right the first time, you are wasting his oxygen. This philosophy has created a chasm between the director and the high priests of the method. Eastwood views overacting as a sign of weakness. He views actors who complain about their process as spoiled children. Over a career spanning 70 years, Eastwood has worked with the best. He has also been sued by the closest woman in his life, banned an Oscar winner from his set, and physically intimidated one of the most beloved actors on the planet. The following 5 names, revealed through a meticulous investigation of court records, biographies, and interviews, represent the Mount Rushmore of people Clint Eastwood wishes had stayed in the trailer. The feud with the Duke, John Wayne. It started with a letter of admiration. It ended with a declaration of war. When a young Clint Eastwood emerged from the spaghetti western wilderness, he looked up to John Wayne. Wayne was the archetype, the flag-waving, lady-kissing hero of Alamo. Eastwood was the anti-hero, the man who shot first and never apologized. In 1973, Eastwood released High Plains Drifter, a revisionist nightmare where the ghost of a murdered sheriff returns to rape and terrorize a town of hypocrites. It was a bleak masterpiece. According to Cambridge University press accounts, Wayne was furious. He felt Eastwood had betrayed the Western genre. In what would become one of Hollywood's most tragicomic moments, Eastwood wrote to his idol asking for a collaboration. Wayne allegedly shot back a letter excoriating High Plains Drifter for its gratuitous violence. The professional jealousy turned personal. Years later, when a journalist tried to play the Wayne card to secure an interview with Eastwood, he was met with ice. "Mr. Eastwood hates John Wayne," the publicist snapped. Clint would later imply that Wayne's era of flag-waving heroics was a lie. The Duke wanted to be a hero, Eastwood just wanted to be honest. The result was a Cold War that lasted until Wayne's death. The betrayal of Sandra Locke. The second name on the list is perhaps the most tragic, Sandra Locke. Unlike the others, this isn't a feud over takes or egos. This is about a 14-year relationship that dissolved into a $2 million courtroom brawl that exposed the dark heart of Eastwood's power. Locke was Eastwood's lover and co-star through the 1970s and 80s. She was smart, talented, and wanted to direct. But when their affair ended bitterly in 1989, the knives came out. Eastwood, accused of infidelity and fathering a child outside the relationship, used his clout as a weapon. According to 1996 Los Angeles Times court transcripts, Locke alleged that Eastwood tricked her. He dangled a $1.5 million directing deal at Warner Brothers to get her to drop a palimony suit. She got an office. She got a parking spot. She pitched 30 projects. Every single one was rejected. Why? Because Eastwood had secretly agreed to pay the studio back if Locke failed. The deal was a poison pill. It effectively told the industry, don't take her seriously. On the witness stand, Eastwood denied the fraud, claiming it was icing on the cake to help her. But the damage was done. Locke's career was destroyed. The man who played the righteous Dirty Harry was revealed to be a scorched-earth ex-lover. This was the first crack in the armor, proving that Eastwood's hate wasn't just about artistic differences, it was about absolute control. The Shut Your Face incident, Spike Lee. The third clue comes from a racial reckoning. In 2006, Eastwood released Flags of Our Fathers. Spike Lee, the legendary director of Do the Right Thing, noticed something odd. The film about the Battle of Iwo Jima featured almost no black soldiers. If you blinked, you've missed the one black person, Lee complained, noting that the Marines were integrated during that battle. Most directors would have issued a press release. Eastwood went nuclear. I told him to shut his face, Eastwood said. The feud escalated into a public shouting match via the media. Lee retorted that Eastwood sounded like an angry old man. But Eastwood doubled down, arguing that he was telling the story of the specific men who raised the flag in the famous photograph, men he claimed were white. He refused to insert diversity for the sake of quota. This wasn't a feud about history, it was a feud about authority. Eastwood does not take notes. He does not respond to calls to action from other directors. The hatred here isn't born of race, but of presumption. How dare Spike Lee tell Clint Eastwood how to make a war movie? The image of the gritty Dirty Harry telling the Brooklyn-born auteur to shut his face remains one of the most shocking moments of cinematic machismo in the 21st century. The terror of Tom Hanks and the fury of DiCaprio. The emotional break in our story occurs when we realize that Eastwood doesn't just hate his enemies, he scares his friends. He terrorizes his collaborators. And he has zero respect for the modern movie star. Leonardo DiCaprio * when Eastwood cast Leo as J. Edgar Hoover, he expected a soldier. Instead, he got a perfectionist. DiCaprio is famous for doing 30 takes, Eastwood is famous for doing one. During the filming of J. Edgar, the tension was palpable. In a scene that has become Hollywood legend, DiCaprio approached the director to ask for another take. He felt he could do better. He wanted to explore the character more. Eastwood, according to sources, simply looked at the crew, announced, "That's a wrap," and walked off the set, leaving a bewildered DiCaprio standing alone in the spotlight. DiCaprio has never worked with him since. It is the ultimate silent treatment. Eastwood effectively banned the biggest star in the world from his roster because Leo asked for a second chance. Tom Hanks * the emotional gut punch, however, is reserved for Tom Hanks. America's dad. The nicest man in Hollywood. Even Hanks couldn't escape the psychological warfare. During the making of Sully, Hanks realized he was being treated like livestock. He revealed on the Graham Norton show that Eastwood directs actors like he directed horses on rawhide. He says in a really quiet soft voice, "All right, go ahead," Hanks recalled. And instead of shouting cut, he says, "That's enough of that." Hanks admitted, "It's intimidating as hell." But the breaking point came when Hanks, a two-time Oscar winner, asked for a second take because his accent was off. Eastwood turned to him and asked, "Why? Do you want to waste everybody's time? Think about that." Tom Hanks, the man who voiced Woody, who saved Private Ryan, was made to feel like a selfish intern. This is the emotional core of Eastwood's rage. He believes that preparation is an insult to spontaneity. He believes that the actor is a tool, not an artist. He hates the process of acting. And thus, he hates the actors who worship the process. The outright ban, Elizabeth Taylor. Finally, we reach the fifth name, Elizabeth Taylor. But this isn't a story of hate on set. This is a story of a preemptive firing. In the 1970s, before 2 Mules for Sister Sarah, Eastwood had a handshake deal with Elizabeth Taylor. He wanted her. She wanted him. It was supposed to be the meeting of two titans. But Universal Pictures stepped in. According to Eastwood, the studio said, "We don't want any part of it." Why? Taylor's demands were astronomical. She wanted a fortune for herself, and she wanted her husband Richard Burton on set with her, paid to do nothing. Eastwood tried to fight for her, but eventually, he caved. He chose the studio over the star. The deal collapsed, and Shirley MacLaine got the part. Eastwood later rationalized it by saying Taylor's movies hadn't been clicking at the box office. But the truth is, Eastwood realized that Elizabeth Taylor represented everything he despises: drama, baggage, and a lack of discipline. She was banned from his presence not because of a fight, but because she was too expensive, both in dollars and in ego. So, what is the final truth? Does Clint Eastwood actually hate these people? No. He fears them. The search results reveal a man obsessed with efficiency. Michael Moore, the documentarian, once criticized American Sniper, calling snipers cowards. Eastwood's response wasn't just a rebuttal, it was a threat. At a cinema expo, Eastwood joked about shooting Michael Moore if he came on his property. When the crowd laughed, Eastwood coldly added, "It isn't a bad idea." The truth is that Clint Eastwood is the last of the minimalists. In an industry of sprawling Netflix epics and 3-hour Marvel movies, Eastwood shoots fast, cuts faster, and moves on. He hates actors who need time to find the character because he believes the character is in the script, not in the actor's head.